thank you so much for being here tonight. My name is JJ Lemon. I am one of the school counselors here at the high school. We have 5 counselors in the office, and each of us is going to take a turn talking a little bit tonight. We'll each kind of take a portion of the program. Our primary goal tonight is to kind of walk through and explain, well, it's sort of like 2 goals. One is to give you a sense of the role that a counselor plays in your, for parents in your students' education, and for you kids, kind of the role that we play for you over the course of the next 4 years, and the things that we'll be engaging and interacting with you around. And the second piece of the puzzle is just to give you a sense of we have a lot of resources available at the high school to support kids sort of academically, personally, socially, emotionally. Folks, if you can mute yourselves, I'd appreciate it. And we're going to walk you through a number of those things. They do, many of them are going to look a little bit different in our current, hybrid COVID format. Many of the things that we've historically been able to provide in person are being done virtually this year. And obviously our hope is that, starting next year in the 21-22 school year, that we'll be able to provide more of these services, the way they've always been, which is in person. So I'm going to get started by introducing Nikki Fine, who's going to cover the first portion of our program tonight. So there we go. Nikki, you there? If you want to hop in.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hi, everyone. My name's Nikki, Miss Fine. I recognized some names as you were coming in. I actually was a substitute for Nicole Ottaviano for the 2nd semester when this current class was in 7th grade. So hello, I'm now a substitute up at the high school for Jerry DiGirolamo, who is on maternity leave. She is set to return at the start of the 2nd semester. So hi, welcome. I'm going to start off just by sort of explaining how we break up the students. So each Radnor High School class is divided alphabetically and assigned to one of our 5 school counselors who are all here tonight. And you'll hear from everybody. The counselors work directly with that same group of students from their freshman year through graduation. So the breakdown is listed right here, and then our contact information as well. The breakdown changes a little bit each grade, so it's generally the same, but this is specifically for this class. Okay, so a little overview about what we do. Our main role is to help provide each student with support that reflects their individual needs. So this includes academic advising, post-secondary planning for college and careers, social and emotional support, and we also act as a resource for parents and guardians. So you know your child best, and we'll work closely with you over the next 4 years. Always feel free to reach out to us as your first point of contact, as we can really connect you anywhere that you need to be connected. Okay. So academic advising, I'll get into that a little bit more. So later on in the presentation, we're going to talk more specifics about course selection and scheduling, but that's rapidly approaching. So students are going to begin having conversations with their teachers about what courses they're going to take next year. And then the counselors are the ones who help actually physically put those courses into a system and have the conversations with the students around what they want to take next year and how those courses might connect with their post-secondary plans or goals. If a student ever wants to make a course change in the beginning of the year, middle of the year, if anything feels off level-wise, or they don't like their elective or want to try something different, we are the people who handle course changes and help guide your student through that. Academic supports and resources. We offer numerous resources within the building that we will touch on a little bit later in the presentation. And collaboration and coordination with teachers, so we can always help connect you to teachers, or get in contact with them if something's going on. We are definitely that person to come to. And then we monitor graduation requirements. So Radnor has their own set of requirements that, classes that students need to take prior to graduation and in order to graduate. So we're always keeping an eye on those things, and that's certainly connected with the course selection. Okay, so college and career planning. So the first thing that we really touch on in both 9th and 10th grade before we really get into any sort of college planning or what students want to do after high school is getting them acquainted with the program called Naviance, which is essentially a database that houses information about colleges and careers. And we do this through health classes. So this year we'll come into the health classes twice. We all split the classes up and we take turns going in and teaching Naviance lessons. So we're due 2 this year and 2 next year, and they're, personality inventories and career inventories to get the students starting to think about what they might want to pursue when they leave Radnor. In their junior year, we host a college planning night, which actually is a series of workshops put on by local admissions reps. So some of these workshops include, an inside look into the admissions process, finding the right fit college, and essay writing. So that's in December of junior year. And then after that, we will host individual meetings. So you'll get to come in, hopefully to our offices or on Zoom, and talk with us about your students' individual goals and plans for after high school. And then in September of senior year, we have an application process focused presentation where we really go over what the student needs to do as they're applying to college. And then of course, we're always providing that ongoing support outside of the presentations as well. Okay. And so social and emotional support, this is a big one. So we're always available for our students, whether they want to come see us in our offices or set up a Zoom meeting. We can do conflict mediation, which can help with peer relationships, or just, talk through different things that are going on in life. We handle referrals from parents or peers or teachers. We connect students with our in-school resources, such as HS Hope, which is our student assistance program. And we'll talk about that in more detail later on in the presentation. And we'll connect them with members of our team, which on the next slide, you'll see a bunch of members from our team. And then another thing is to connect and collaborate with out-of-school resources. Okay, so here are some key people who are other staff members that aren't the 5 of us. So our school counseling secretaries, our school social worker, our school psychologists, our student assistant program specialist from the Karen Foundation, and our 2 mental health counselors who are from a company called Lakeside. And we'll talk a little bit more about that soon. And I'm going to pass it to Sarah.
All right. Hi, everyone. Like Nikki said, I'm one of the school counselors, and I work with students who have last names at the end of the alphabet. So here on the screen, you see the 2 different electronic systems that allow you to review academic information about your students. And you may be familiar with both of these if you're coming up from the middle school. The Home Access Center, or HAC for short, can be accessed from the high school homepage. On there, you can see report cards as well as current classwork and attendance information. Please note that teachers update HAC about every 2 weeks. So when you're looking at that published classwork, it may not be completely up to date in real time at any given time. And if you have any questions about grades or a specific assignment on HAC, please reach out to that specific teacher. Schoology is another online platform that we use at the high school. Teachers post and collect assignments through Schoology. They can post grades and communicate with their students. Teachers, counselors, and administrators also post announcements on Schoology that are important for students to see, and we communicate with our students that way as well. Parents can have their own Schoology accounts that will allow them to see announcements and assignments for their students' classes. If you need an account or if you're having trouble accessing your account, please email the email address that you see listed on the screen, and someone will reach out to you to help out with that. Here you can see a sample report card. You can see there are columns for quarters 1 through 4, exams, semester, and final grades, which get filled in over the course of the year. You'll notice that there are GPA calculations at the bottom of the report card. The MP, or marking period GPA, is only for that quarter, which is a little bit confusing. It's not a cumulative GPA for the year. The cumulative GPA below that is also not updated until the completion of courses in June. Here you can see a sample of a transcript for a current senior. Notice that we only report final grades on transcripts as opposed to all the interim grades that you see on a report card. We also note a GPA for each year as well as a cumulative GPA, both weighted and unweighted, at the bottom of the transcript. In general, we look at that weighted GPA, which factors in honors, AP, seminar, and integrated level courses. Also listed on a transcript are the courses that a student is currently enrolled in without final grades. The state requires us to note students' highest level of proficiency on Keystone exams as well, and you'll see that listed at the bottom of the transcript. We often get questions about how GPA is calculated. You can find this table that you see on the screen on page 24 of the current program of studies on the high school's website. We have 2 categories for GPA. Weighted quality points are given for honors, AP, integrated, or seminar level classes, and unweighted quality points are given for advanced and college prep level courses. We have a number of academic supports here in the building that we hope your students have begun to utilize. And like Mr. Lemon said, some of them do look a little bit different this year as we're navigating some of the virtual world. Academic Center, or Academic Success Center, or ASC, is a structured study hall where students can have more guidance in terms of work completion and organization than they'll get in our standard 9th grade study hall. They receive a pass-fail grade for the course as well as a half credit towards graduation if they're enrolled in this class. Academic Success Center EF is also a half credit class that provides direct instruction for executive functioning skills like organization and planning. Unlike the traditional ASC, students will not have the whole class period to work on their homework for other classes, but instead participate in lessons and activities as directed by the ASC EF teacher. The Math Center and Writing Center are 2 help options available during the school day and are both staffed by Radnor High School teachers. Both of these resources are virtual this year, and students can find Zoom links for them on their Schoology accounts under the Groups page. Finally, we have peer tutoring available after school, Monday through Thursday. There's a Google form that you can see on the screen there that students can fill out to request help for a particular subject from the peer tutoring group. Beginning a few years ago, we started offering the extended learning program after school every Monday and Wednesday from 3:25 to 4:55 p.m. Again, this year, this resource is virtual and Zoom links can be found on Schoology. Students can receive help in math and social studies on Mondays and then math, English, and science on Wednesdays. All the ELP instructors are Radnor High School teachers, so they have a keen understanding of what you're learning in school. One last support that we want to make sure you're aware of at the high school is HS Hope, or our Student Assistance Program. This is designed to help remove barriers to academic success. Students may be struggling for a variety of reasons, as you can see listed on the slide, and can be referred by staff, parents, peers, or some students refer themselves to the program. The HS Hope team is comprised of counselors, administrators, psychologists, the nurse, as well as mental health liaisons, and we work together to develop interventions and monitor student progress as students are referred. If you have any questions about this program, please see your school counselor or another member of the HS Hope team. Now I'm going to pass things over to Jeannie Seymour to talk about some of the standardized testing that we have.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. Again, I'm Jeannie Seymour. I work with students at the beginning of the alphabet, letters A, B, C, and D, and our English language learners. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes and give you a quick overview of some of the college entrance exams. And these are the tests that colleges may require in their admissions review. And we'll start with the PSAT, which is the first test that students in the class of 2024 may encounter. And that would be in the 10th grade. Typically it's 9th grade. We had to forego the PSAT 8-9 test this year for our current 9th graders. Our 10th graders will be taking the test on January 26th. But next year, as a sophomore, these students, our current 9th graders, will sit for the practice SAT, and it is truly just that. It's a practice. It's a no pressure test. We like to put the kids in a testing environment with a shortened version of the PSAT in a safe setting. It's a really nice, no pressure experience for our kids. The test results come back in October, and we advise the kids to look at those test results, cautiously. There's a lot of content that they're tested on that they haven't been exposed to yet. So those scores are not fantastic, and they really shouldn't be. It's a 9th grade test, and the goal really is to help our students get acclimated to the SAT, ACT testing format in a no pressure environment. As the students move on to 11th grade, then the PSAT can become a little more high stakes. It is the National Merit Qualifying Exam. And for those students who are exceptional test takers, who test probably in the top half of the top 1% nationally on that given test date, they could potentially qualify for some scholarship money, some institution-based scholarship money, and some corporate-based scholarship money. But again, we're talking about an elite group of students. So for the most part, the PSAT, again, in 11th grade is a practice for our students in a safe testing environment in their home school. We coordinate the PSAT. Students do not need to register. We do all of the arrangements, and it's given during the school day. Then we move on to the SAT and the ACT, and those are our traditional standardized college tests. They're given on Saturdays. Students register independently with either College Board for an SAT or with ACT for an ACT. These tests are a little over 3 hours. They test evidence-based reading and writing and math. And both the ACT and the SAT offer an optional writing test. The big difference between the two, there's a format difference, but the biggest difference is the ACT offers a science reasoning section. So not a content section, but a reasoning section. So some kids who are particularly strong or enjoy science, they might want to take a look at the ACT format as well. We'll get lots of exposure with the SAT through the PSAT, and that exposure carries over to the ACT. So it's not time wasted if you're just going to take the ACT in your junior or senior year. And then we move on to the subject tests. So the subject tests are 1-hour tests that are also given by College Board. Students register for those as well independently and take them at a national testing site. There are 20 different tests in 5 content areas, those listed above: English, history, math, science, and the world languages. The subject tests are course driven. So when a course content closely aligns with the test content, then a student would consider taking it. And our teachers will advise kids along the way. We talk about it as counselors, but I'll give you a couple of examples. If you're taking honors pre-calc And I know there's some of you out there because we have some really top, early, high achieving math students. But if you're in honors pre-calc, then the math level 2 1-hour subject test might be an exam for you to consider. You're definitely prepared for it, but whether or not you want to take it is up to you. AP Biology will prepare you for the biology subject test. AP World History in 10th grade will prepare you for the World History test, subject test. And then of course, languages based on, your skill level. Native speakers often are ready for the language-based tests, particularly if they can read and write in that language as well. Most colleges don't require subject tests. It tends to be the more selective schools that require the subject tests, and typically it's 2. On occasion, we'll find a school that will require 3. And then the final piece that we have, which is not actually an admissions requirement, colleges do not, there is not a single college out there that requires an AP exam score for an admissions evaluation. But we wanted to put it up there because we know the AP tests are, fairly common at Radnor High School. AP tests correlate to an AP course. So if you're taking an AP course, AP Economics, AP Studio Art, AP Art History, AP Calculus at the high school at any given year, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, there is a correlating AP test, and there's a 2-week window in May, a specific date for that test and time, and we coordinate, we facilitate that, and the students who take an AP test at Radnor will take the AP exam. So the next thing is, when should students take these tests? Now, this is a very individualized timeline, especially when it comes to SATs, ACTs, and subject tests. For freshmen, typically we would give the PSAT in October, but like I said, we didn't have the opportunity to do that this year. And it would be a rare student who would take the subject test, probably math only, in their freshman year. In sophomore year, again, our sophomores are taking the PSAT. Typically it's October. This year it is being administered at the high school on January 26th. June, possibly subject test, depending on the courses you're taking. And then the SAT and ACT, not too many 10th graders are taking it, but often we'll have a competitive student athlete, a prospective college athlete, who may sit for an SAT just to give college coaches an early read for admissions. But that's pretty rare. Junior year, in October, our students take the PSAT, and they take that again at Radnor. Could be high stakes for our top test takers. And then the SAT, ACT subject test timeline really varies from student to student. Some students are ready to tackle the ACT or the SAT early in their junior year. They've taken some high-level English and social studies courses. Their math level is right on, and they do a lot of prep over the summer, so they're feeling pretty confident. Some are not. Some want that junior year to sit in their English class, their writing classes, their math classes, and they'll feel more prepared for the test come March, May, or June. And then senior year is kind of for those kids who really wanted to do some prep between junior and senior year, or maybe they hadn't really put much thought into taking the test. But between August and November, seniors who are applying to college would still have the opportunity to take the test and have it be used in the college admissions process. There are more test dates in their senior year, but if you wanted to be read by colleges, typically August and November would be your last opportunities in your senior year. So I know it's a long way down. We're talking a few years from now, but don't feel any pressure to follow anybody's timeline except for your own. And if you'd like some advice on the timeline that works for you, talk with us. Let us know. We'll advise you. We'll look at your curriculum and look at your extracurricular schedule. Sometimes you have spring sports or spring musical, things that are time intensive, and it's not a good time to do those tests. So talk to us if you need to. Okay, some frequently asked questions. So after doing this program for several years, these are some of the questions that have come back to us. Can students with learning disabilities who receive accommodations in school qualify for testing accommodations? It's possible. The ACTs, SATs, PSATs, AP exams, they are not Radner driven. They are the College Board or ACT driven. So even though we approve you for accommodations and provide accommodations in the building, you still have to go through an application process with College Board or ACT to see if they will approve you for accommodations. Most of our kids who test with accommodations at Radner, who go through the application process, do qualify for testing, but not all. So for PSAT, SAT, and AP, it's a one-time application through College Board. If you have a case manager through an IEP or a 504, or your 504 is for medical reasons, then talk to whoever oversees manages your situation, and they will guide you on how to apply for those accommodations. And likewise, ACT is a separate application. It's also a one-time application now, and that needs to be submitted to ACT. And all of these have to be submitted well in advance of registering to take these tests. Sometimes it's even 6 to 8 weeks in advance, but it may be possible. So again, use some of the resources, use the people in the building who you are in contact with, and get some advice on that. And then we also get questions on preparation. Your best preparation, hands down, is investing yourself in the classroom learning. Be attentive, be engaged, do your schoolwork, do what teachers ask you to do, ask questions. That is absolutely your best preparation for any of these tests. All of Radner's courses are reading and writing intensive, and that's essentially what the SATs and ACTs are. It's evidence-based reading and writing and math. Before you take the PSAT in 10th grade, you'll get a practice book, and it's a little condensed version of the SAT. It teaches you how to navigate the test. It gives you practice questions, and it gives you the answers, some content on the test, and you can go over that guide. For 10th grade, go over it. Don't study it, go over it, understand it, and then when you sit to take the test, you'll then get your results. You'll be able to use your results to see how you did. And that's the next support, is the PSAT report that you get. So as I said, you take the test in October, and the results come back in December. You'll set up your own College Board account with your own username and password, and that's independent of Radnor High School. Come December, those score reports come out. It's really a terrific report. You not only get your test questions and your answer sheet back, but you get a description of each of the questions, the level of difficulty. If it's a math question, is it geometry related? Is it algebra 2 related, a higher level math? So going back to when our 9th and 10th graders take the PSAT, sometimes you look at your report and the math score is not fantastic, but maybe you're in algebra 1 and you only just started geometry and took the test in October of your 10th grade year. Well, more than likely you're going to get the geometry questions wrong and the higher level algebra 2 questions wrong. So again, it's a great tool for practice, and we often have kids who use that report to continue to prep for the SAT or the PSAT for the next year. So that's a terrific resource for you, and that will be available in December of next year. And then Khan Academy, I hope you've used Khan Academy for other things. It's fantastic. Free SAT prep, free tutoring, content-based tutoring as well. Khan Academy was on the ground level when the SAT changed several years ago. So we partnered up and created a preparation course together. Even if you use Khan Academy to prep for the SATs, there is carryover to the ACT exam. There's, the prep is worthwhile for the ACT as well. And we have lots of resources. Our department has purchased books and sent them over to our library for SAT, ACT, all of the different tests. you can check them out in the library. And I think it's a longer checkout than a traditional book. And you can use those guides. So there's no need to go out and buy any prep books for any of these tests. We have them available in the library. The library has the most recent books. We have in our office some fairly recent books and some older books, but a lot of those books are ones that families have donated back after they've taken the test. Come check that out too, see what we have for you to take. You can borrow those for the rest of the year, return them when you leave for the summer. And then of course, there's all kinds of prep services and resources out there in the community available for purchase. But I wouldn't go there until you've checked out Khan Academy and used the PSAT score report that you got. So testing for ninth graders, this is not something that is of tremendous importance for you right now. Do your best in your classes and good things will come from that. And I am going to pass it over to JJ Lemon, who's going to give you an overview of Naviance. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeannie. Okay, so Nikki, I think, mentioned Naviance earlier in the program. Naviance is basically a website that we make student accounts available to all the students in the building. They actually get accounts starting in middle school. They use it for in different ways and for different things in the middle school than we do at the high school. But the but every student is assigned an account. And as Nikki said earlier, when we go into health classes in 9th and 10th grades, the students are generally doing sort of like college and career related activities through the program. So that's a piece of what we use it for. Parents, we can get you access to your student's Naviance account. If you reach out to your student's counselor, we can set you up with a parent login that basically is just a mirror of the student's account. Many of the activities that students do and complete in their accounts are only able to be completed through the student login. Parent login doesn't give you access to necessarily do all the same things that kids have access to, but you can see results of those things within a parent login. So we do some career exploration activities. We did in December in health classes what's called a learning styles inventory. We'll do a strengths explorer with students in February. And then in sophomore year, we do a do what you are personality assessment, which is based on the Myers-Briggs. Some of you may have done that when, through a college career center or something like that when you were exploring and trying to make sense of what you wanted to do with your lives. And then the second activity we do with students is called the MI Advantage, which is sort of connected to multiple intelligences. So these activities within Naviance are really geared at helping students kind of better understand themselves as learners, as people, but they all connect through and give students access. They're interesting entry points to a giant database of information within Naviance that talks about careers, and the reports that are generated from these activities link through to career information for students. And it's one of the things that we encourage students to do within the system. There is also, in addition to a huge database of information on careers, where students can go in and find stuff about, different jobs, what education they might need for it, what the job prospects like, what the jobs actually look like on a day-to-day basis, how much money they make, lots of that kind of information. There is a second database in there, which is a giant college database. There's information within Naviance on over 5,000 colleges and universities in the US and abroad. And there are lots of different sort of entry points to dig into Naviance to do that. There are some college search programs within the system that allow students to answer questions and fill out a survey about what they think they're looking for in a college. And it'll match colleges that sort of meet their profile or overview that they're looking for. We also keep track of Radnor specific application statistics. And in a moment, I'm actually going to log out of this PowerPoint and go into my sample student account to show you a couple of those things, just to give you a sense of it. But they're really helpful guides and information to help students make good practical choices about where they apply. It's really helpful if they know they're, students don't have a GPA really at this point, but as they move further on, they can compare their own statistics to what we're seeing happening with Radnor students applying to every single college. We also have college admissions reps who come and usually in the fall to meet with students And that schedule and the opportunity to register for those visits is on Naviance as well. We also use it as our sort of college application portal for our seniors. Students have to request their transcripts or academic records along with their recommendations to go off to colleges. And that exists within Naviance. There's also a huge database of information on scholarships in there. We get sent lots of scholarship information kind of on an ongoing basis. And Naviance is the place where we kind of keep that information. So there are opportunities for students to go in and parents to go in and do research on possible scholarships. The other thing that we do in here is one of the responsibilities that counselors have is going into senior year, we're going to write a recommendation for each student that we work with that will go off to colleges. It's often one of the requirements for applications. We do our best to get to know students over the course of the 3 years leading up to that. But we don't know everything about kids, and we'll openly admit that there are lots of things that they do and long-term plans that they have that we don't get the chance to kind of have deep conversations with them about. So one of the things that we have is what's called a brag sheet, which is basically a questionnaire. There's something like 12 or 13 questions within the brag sheet. I want to say maybe 10 of them are for students and 2 or 3 of them are for parents. And the goal of that is basically to fill in the gaps for us, help us understand, as much about the student as we can, so we can tell a really good story for them going, to sort of pair with their applications. I'm going to stop that real quick, and I am going to, if you'll give me just 1 second. Okay. I'm going to log into my student Naviance account and just give you a quick tour of it so you can see it. So this is what a student's Naviance account looks like. You can see this is my sample student account. Up here at the top of the screen, you'll see there's navigation in the top right-hand corner. The primary navigation that students are going to use is either going to be in the colleges or the careers. The About Me section is where they're going to find all the different assessments and activities that they will have done through health classes. So, the Do What You Are, which is that Myers-Briggs, when students complete it, you can click on that and go see information about their results with that. There's also a huge database, as I said, of career information, and clicking on the Careers tab will take you to that. There are really interesting videos in here called Road Trip Nation, which basically interviews different people about their career paths and goals, and students can search and watch those videos, and the people talk about what their jobs look like, but also sort of the path they took to get there, which can be worthwhile and interesting. They can also explore career information in here. Careers are generally categorized into pathways, and they can click on a specific pathway and start to dig in a little bit to find information on a career that might be of interest to them. The other section, or the one that kids most primarily use Naviance for, is a colleges section. If you come here into the colleges piece, you can go in and search up any specific school. And each college has their own page here within Naviance. So this is the page for Westchester University. You can go in here and find information, that'll give you sort of a general overview, pictures, virtual tours, some basic statistics on it. You can also go in and go to a studies page, which if you scroll down, will show you the different majors that college offers. You can also look at information on student life, which will give you a sense of how many students are on campus, what's the sort of diversity look like. And down at the bottom of that page, it also provides information about student organizations and services. So what are the things that students are able to do on campus? Some kids have a thing that they're involved in that's really important to them, like marching band or something that they want to continue in college. And this will give you information about what's offered at that specific school. There's also a tab on costs, which will cover things like room and board and tuition. But one of the things that our students find most useful as they're doing research is this admissions tab. When you go to the admissions tab, it'll give you some basic information on the admissions process or policy. But one of the things that students and parents find most helpful is we keep statistics for what happens with students applying to every college. This is about 5 years worth of data of students from Radnor High School applying to Westchester University. This is what's called a scatter scattergram. And it's got GPA on the vertical axis and SATs on the horizontal. Each of the green check marks is a student from Radnor who was accepted to Westchester. And when you hover over the check mark, you can see the GPA and SAT scores for that student. The red X's are students who were denied, and you can get the data on those numbers. And the intersection of these two dotted lines takes you to the average acceptance numbers for that school. The other thing that you'll see on here after the end of their freshman year, when they have a cumulative GPA from their freshman year grades, you'll also see a little blue circle that'll sort of represent your student's spot on that scattergram. And it's a really good way to compare the numbers and be really smart and practical about, you know, looking at schools that really make sense given the student's academic progress. This can also be a really good way for students to set goals for themselves. If they have a college in mind or an idea of what they might be looking for, this can be a really helpful tool for them to sort of set goals and give themselves an idea of what their interests are and what they're looking to do. Students tend to use this much more concretely, especially for the college piece in their junior year, but I feel like it's important to kind of show it to you and give you a sense of it ahead of time. All right, I'm gonna stop that and go back to the PowerPoint again. Just give me one sec. Okay, and that wraps up my portion. I'm going to pass it on to Amy West to finish out talking about course selection, which is a process that'll be coming up pretty quickly.
Thanks, JJ. Hey, everyone. I'm Amy West. I work with the middle of the alphabet, and I'm going to wrap up by talking about course selection and planning for sophomore year. So as we approach the end of this first semester, we will begin to work with students in planning for sophomore year. The timeline's listed there. So from January 18th through February 5th, core subject teachers will enter their recommendations for next year. So core subjects consist of English, math, social studies, science, and world language. If your child has questions regarding the recommendation for next year, we recommend just for them to reach out to their teacher directly during that time frame, though most teachers will let their students know what course they plan to recommend for the following year. So here's a snapshot of our science curriculum from the program of studies, which is posted on the Radnor High School website. Each course subject lists the course offerings as it spans from 9th through 12th grade, as well as levels for each academic year. So for science, you can see on the side there's college prep, advanced, and honors, or AP. So it's just a really good visual, especially as you're thinking about what are the next couple years going to look like. Again, each of the core subjects have that similar chart in the program of studies. So after the window closes for teachers to enter their core course recommendations, students then have the opportunity to enter their elective choices in their Hack account. And the timeline for that is February 8th through the 12th. Students have to log on to their own Hack account to enter their courses. So a lot of students we find are just logging in through their parents, but the parents' account won't have access to enter courses. So if they do need their Hack account information, they should complete the Hack support form. It can be found on the Radnor RTSD website so that they have their login information prior to the 8th. So the timeline for students is February 8th through the 12th. And this will all go out to the students. There's an upcoming program of studies presentation that administration is doing, and all of your students will receive this information. So prior to entering their electives, we do recommend that students review the program of studies, talk with teachers, parents, counselors, and classmates to help choose their electives and their alternate choices. We do ask that students enter first choice electives along with backups. So each year, the counselors work really hard to get students their first choice electives, but unfortunately, scheduling conflicts always occur for some students. So those alternate choices, we really encourage students to enter ones that they're interested in and won't be completely devastated if their first choice elective doesn't end up happening. And then some electives have prerequisites. For instance, if you wanted to take creative cooking, you'd have to complete essentials of cooking first. The prerequisites are listed in the course description, which is again in the program of studies. And then graduation requirements, the two that students want to be mindful of in regards to electives is that each student must complete a half credit in a business or technology course by the time they graduate. So from 9th through 12th grade, 1/2 credit in business or tech, as well as a half credit within one of the following disciplines. So art, music, theater, or family and consumer science. And again, that's just 1/2 credit between 9th and 12th grade. So for counselors, from late February through early March, we're pretty booked up. We're meeting with students individually to review their course selection for the following year. This will occur in their social studies class, and this year we'll do it in a virtual format. But during these meetings, we'll look at the following criteria: number of credits, leveling and balance of selections. We want to make sure that our students are appropriately challenged, elective choices, graduation requirements, and then making that connection between their post-secondary goals and how that applies to the courses that they plan to take during their time at Radnor. After February 12th, students no longer have access to make changes in their hack account to their course selection. So it's shut off for students. Any changes will need to be made through their counselor. If they want to make a core subject change, so again, that's math, social studies, science, English, or world language. So if they were recommended for Chem Advanced, but they really want to move to Chem Honors, they must complete an override form, and that requires a student signature as well as a parent signature. If they do want to make a change to an elective, so they picked cooking, but now they want to do art, all they have to do is reach out to us. There's no form required. We can make that change for them. And then the deadline this year is April 23rd, 2021. So again, the students will get a lot of communication about that date, and they'll know that, you know, this is the deadline for course selection. After that date, no changes will be allowed until schedules are released in the summer. Typically it's mid-August that we release schedules to students. After their schedules are released, students can request a change to their courses, but we can't guarantee that it will happen. It's dependent on the availability of seats in the course and the ability to fit it in with their other core subjects. And we cannot honor any requests for teacher changes. So what to do now as they're working through, you know, this month, and course selection is definitely coming up soon. They can begin to review the program of studies. Again, it's all online, and think about the courses they want to take next year. They can talk to their teachers about the recommendations for sophomore year. And as always, we are more than welcome to help them with any questions they may have if they want to talk through the next couple years and how are they going to fit in all these courses, or they're not quite sure about a level, or, you know, any of that. Please just tell them to reach out to us, and we're more than happy to help in any way we can.
Cool. All right, folks. So that kind of covers the basic information that we wanted to go through. So at this point, we can open it up to questions. If you'd like, you can post your questions in the chat. You can also unmute yourself if you'd like. I would just ask that you know, if you have questions, please make them general enough so that they apply to other folks in the room, right? So if you've got questions about your child's specific situation, I would encourage you to reach out to your child's counselor separately. We're happy to have a meeting with you or a conversation about something that you're concerned about or have questions about. So, so actually, I'm glad Ms. Latour's here, because this is the first question. I know, you're so excited. The first question is the Keystone exam that were scheduled for January happening? Since you're our Keystone expert.
Yes. Hi. So first,
let me put you on the spot. I know you weren't prepared to talk tonight, but.
No, that's fine. So the January Keystone exams are not happening. So students will not have to take them. There will be the spring, currently right now we have spring 2021 Keystone exams scheduled. Should there be additional questions about that, Dr. McNamara is actually taking over Keystones this year. So he'll be able to address the spring 2021 Keystone questions. But for right now, no exams in January.
You seem really excited about that. I can tell by the... While I have you unmuted, can I ask you to talk just for 1 minute about the peer mentoring program, since that's something that we're...
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We have the Radnor High School Peer Mentorship Program that we started, and pretty much what we're doing right now is offering seminars to our freshmen. So we had an attention seminar this past Wednesday that worked wonderfully for our students, providing them with tips and strategies. So each month we're going to have different seminars, hopefully 2 seminars per month, to really get our students acclimated to school life, to help them with that transition. But along with that, we have upperclassmen who will serve as peer mentors for our students. Our counselors, our case managers, and our teachers, they all have access to what we call a mentee form. And what it does is it actually gives our freshmen an opportunity to disclose their hobbies, their interests, and things of that nature, so that we can match them with a peer mentor, an upperclassman who would be compatible to them and also help them navigate school life, get them invested, and pretty much tied to a lot of the activities that we have available in our school community. So yeah, we have our peer mentorship program going. If you're interested, if you'd like your child to be involved, please reach out to your guidance counselor or to me. Thank you, Jacob, for that. Yeah, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I promise that's the last question we'll ask, I promise.
It's okay, no problem.
We did have a question in the chat about, can a parent get a login for the Naviance website? And Nikki already responded. Thanks, Nikki. That just says yes. Parents can get a login. Just email your student's counselor and we'll take care of that. What other questions? And just so you know, if we will be posting the a copy of the PowerPoint that we reviewed will be going up on the, if you go to the school counseling page of the high school website, when you click on the school counseling page, right at the top of the sort of splash page there is an announcement section, and we will post a link to the PowerPoint. We're also recording this program, and at some point we will post a copy of the recording both there on the website and on the Class of 2024 Schoology page where you went to get the link for the program tonight. It does take us a little while usually to kind of save down and edit and get the video ready, so it might be a little bit of time before it's up, but we will post it once it's ready. What other questions do we have, folks?
I have a quick one.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot of information that was given to us tonight.
Yeah.
And it's a little overwhelming. So just to simplify things for me, right now, at this moment, we should really just be focusing on their courses for next year.
Absolutely.
All of the testing stuff and everything else I was listening to, and I'm having panic attacks.
No, and we understand that, and so I totally hear that. Yes, quite honestly, that's the, it's a challenge for us to make sense of, we want to provide, especially for parents, a long-term view and a broad overview of what's coming, right? So for some of you, your current 9th grader might be your oldest, right? And so trying to give you a long-term view and sense of what's coming, just to give you an idea of it. But that doesn't mean these are things you need to be thinking about today. It's really just us trying to inform you about the things that are coming in the future. So please don't panic. And we walk that line with parents and with students in 9th grade. We want to provide information, but not overwhelm them with too much. So I hear that. So just know, this is really just to give you a glimpse into the future for some of that stuff, rather than have it be a thing you need to really be concerned about in this moment. So,
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions, folks? We're happy to stay. I was going to say as long as you'd like. I don't know if that's exactly true, but we'll hang out as long as you have questions. All right, well, we're not getting anything here, so going once, going twice. All right, well, thank you so much for being here tonight. We really, really appreciate it. I would say the most important message from our department that we can give you is that we're here as a resource for your students and for you as well as parents. So there, you can find our contact information on this PowerPoint. But again, there is a school counseling website, a school counseling page on the high school website where you can find who your child's counselor is, contact information for all of us. And the website itself is filled with lots of information and resources about many of the things that we've talked about tonight. So, you know, at some point, if you have questions about things, that's always a good place to start. But thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year. And we'll see you later.